Where is the loser from your school now? One owns his own tattoo shop, doing alright. Another who was a massive stoner ended up being really great at selling cars and is quite wealthy. He had practice in high school lol. One of our dealers is now a successful financial advisor. Makes sense. She's a published author of multiple books and crushing it in the explicit romance genre. She used to let me read stuff she wrote in a deeply boring class we were required to take and shared a 2-person table in, and it's the only thing that got me through. She was really talented. I'd have never said she was a loser though. Just a very earnest girl in a larger body whose social development skills hadn't really kicked in yet. But she was smart and sweet and gentle. I asked her to come sit with my friends at lunch a lot but she'd never come over. Just ate alone every day, scribbling in notebooks. I'm really glad she found her path to happiness and success. Romance books aren't my thing, but I pre-order every one of her books as a show of support. There was a kid in our class who would cry every time he was asked to read out loud or say something in front of the class. It was always very painful to watch, and some kids would make fun of him. He also would frequently eat his own boogers when he thought no one was watching. He moved away after 6th grade, 1978, and I never saw him again. I looked him up recently on LinkedIn and it turns out he got a PhD in computer science from Stanford and made a fortune on patents he got with Silicon Graphics, SGI. He didn't reply to my LinkedIn invite. Define loser in high school. The fat socially awkward guy. Oh, he's rich, married with 4 kids and a good career. The guy with the lowest grades. He's bouncing in and out of prison. The guy who was doing hard drugs in high school. He's dead, overdosed. The weird guy who was caught watching porn and masturbating in computer class. He's a lawyer. What kind of lawyer are you? I went to kindergarten with this kid and graduated with him. I sat next to him in homeroom every day for 4 years of high school. He was decently nice, I guess. I barely interacted with him. He had his own little group of friends but otherwise generally not very popular. They gave big incel energy. I guess after graduation he got into some drugs, lost a lot of weight, and ended up murdering this pregnant girl and her boyfriend behind a Papa John's because she wouldn't date him or have sex with him. He also had sex with her corpse. Now he's rotting in jail, sentence of 130 years. Well, the school mascot is in charge of a Navy submarine in the Atlantic. When people were freaking out about the Russian sub, all I could think is the start of WW3 might be down to Tony who wore the banana suit during Spirit Week. The trench coat kid, who was actually super nice, has a business 3D printing 6 toys. And me? I'm in manufacturing in Cleveland. He has an Emmy. He was made fun of by everyone, including me, for being incredibly passionate about photography and film and having the humongous gonads it takes to continue putting his stuff out there. He's far and away the most successful person from my class, and gets to do what he loves every day. I'm super happy for him. Edit, the Emmy was for his work on a news production. He's not famous. Lol. Dude's an aeronautic engineer now. We recently talked online and talked about where we are both now. Bro hit me with the time flies quote, genuinely happy for him. Nobody knows, we tried contacting him for a reunion and it was impossible to find him. I really don't want to call him a loser though. He was probably suffering from undiagnosed or badly treated ADHD, or anxiety or something. This was 20 years ago when seeing a psychiatrist was shameful and something to be hidden. He was friendly, never had a problem with anyone. He just wasn't capable of going through a badly structured school setting. It's really sad. Some people are naturally good at school, and some just aren't, even though there's nothing wrong with them fundamentally as human beings. But the system is set up so that success in school determines a large part of your life in the future, and that's pretty unfair, honestly. dead. I learned it quite recently. I couldn't repress some feeling of joy. He was a loser, but a violent loser. Like he couldn't stand people who'd take studies seriously and succeed. He quit school quite early but still roaming around the school. He had a bike and was terrorizing all kids going home, including me, by a shrill technique. He would force us to climb on his bike so he could take us home, but it was like a suicidal journey. He would cross roads at full speed without looking for any car. How anyone hasn't been killed is beyond me. This guy gave me nightmares. Then one day he disappeared. I grew up, had a modest success in my education and landed a good job. One day while I was waiting for the bus, he came to me. He recognized me. I didn't at first, but when he talked to me, I recognized him. I wasn't scared, we were already adults at this time. He looked poor and dirty. He genuinely thought we were friends when we were young. He told me that life was hard for him, that he was struggling. But as the discussion went on, I learned that he spent his life in bars, drinking and doing nothing of his life. He asked me for help, he needed money. To get rid of him, I gave him the equivalent of $1, just enough for a coffee. He left disappointed but somehow happy to have this bit of money. He was the kind of guy who was pure scum. There was nothing good about him. I knew that if I felt less confident, he would bully me or rob me of my money. He felt I wasn't scared. He died in his 40s, and I am sure no one on this earth felt an atom of sadness. I was a loser in high school. Stinky clothes, wore plastic grocery bags on my feet under my shoes when it rained, sometimes went to school barefoot. Pretty hungry a lot. Slept in a church youth room I had gotten the key for and would sneak in after hours. Some people were cruel to me, but I was pretty naive about it, so it didn't stick and I don't have any hard feelings about it. There were some really nice people, too. I was in a band, but that failed after 9 or 10 years. Failed my marriage after about 5 or 6 years. I pursued a dream of opening up my own music lessons and recording studio, but that failed too after about 8 years. Pretty spectacular failures, too. Very humbling. Back to square one style, destitute, stealing food from the grocery store level failure. So these days, I've been doing okay. I've worked with special needs kids for the last 10 years. Got my Braille certificate, got a bachelor's degree in elementary education, working on my master's in edtech right now. Literally doing what most people are doing in their 20s, 20 years too late. Better late than never, I guess. On Reddit right now. It's me. Everyone else from my class went on to get a professional career and family. Meanwhile I got cancer, had a stroke, my disability payments got wrongfully stopped and I'm going through an appeal right now. So all my old school friends are living it up in nice houses with their families with hope for the future, while I'm starving, in danger of losing the roof over my head, sick and suffering side effects from my meds, all alone and with nothing to look forward to. So yeah, I was considered a loser in school because I liked rock music while the other kids liked R&B and Boyzone. Now I'm a loser in real life, as multiple people have delighted in telling me. I don't even join my old school's Facebook page because I'm too embarrassed to let them see how my life has turned out. In federal prison for blowing up those blue postal boxes with pipe bombs. Genius could have blown up trash cans and since no one got hurt, it would have been a misdemeanor. But tampering with the mail is a federal offense. And each individual letter destroyed is a separate count. And, he got caught by leaving an unfinished pipe bomb in the back of his friend's dad's car. And this friend's dad was the fire marshal, and had been consulting on the case. After taking a 20-year detour with a lot of drugs, psych wards, rehab and a bunch of dysfunctional relationships, now have my dream job in the medical field. High school can really duck someone up. Lol, took me years and years to get a good sense of self and become confident after being the loser. We had a few losers in one friend group, but here's all I know. One of them went to mortician school to be in the funeral home industry. A few of them collectively work at the local game store and other retail setting jobs. One of them had a 6 tape leaked a little while after high school and ended up getting pregnant and now has a family and just living her life with her husband and kids. He did drugs, went off to Juve in high school, robbed a liquor store at gunpoint at 19. Went to prison for a number of years, and now posts wannabe thug pictures on his social media with a plethora of face tats. Ironically enough, his last name is Crook. I don't know how he's doing, but I can't say I'm surprised with what I have seen thus far. Everyone is going to say that they were the loser, but I actually was. By the time junior year rolled around, I had no friends. I spent my lunch breaks walking around aimlessly or eating my lunch in a bathroom stall. I blended into the background, on purpose, unless someone decided I was an easy target to publicly mock or to make up school shooter jokes. My clothes all had holes in them because we were poor and lived in a trailer. I had severe acne as well, and nothing over the counter worked. If I accidentally made eye contact with a girl, I would get laughed at and be on the receiving end of that look. I had terrible grades and failed 10th grade, so the other kids made fun of me for being stupid on top of my looks, etc. My teachers openly disliked me, especially the female ones. From what I can gather, pretty much everyone in my life back then just expected me to heal myself. I am now a mechanical engineer making far more than the household average for the area I live in. I own multiple sports cars and motorcycles. I have traveled overseas for recreation and am in extremely good physical condition. I have gotten cosmetic surgeries and turned girls down that approach. Things are far from ideal, but I feel like I've clawed up from a pretty precarious situation. The thing is, I still don't forgive anyone from back then. This kid in my high school was by far the smallest and skinniest. Hung out with us nerds. Before being nerds was cool, but otherwise kept to himself. Was very quiet and hid in giant hoodies and generally tried to disappear. After high school, he joined the army. Got ripped. Became a drill sergeant, and later, attack helicopter pilot. Married a gorgeous Hooters girl. She just got her MD. Wish I could have been a loser like that kid. I dropped out of high school in the 9th grade and later returned to repeat the year. Unfortunately, I vandalized the school and was expelled from the district, resulting in community service and youth probation. Everyone in the school hated me and I was known as the bad kid because we destroyed the HVAC system for 6 months. No air conditioning from January until April at least. $80K in damage. For my community service, I worked on various IT projects for a community youth organization in a small town. This experience allowed me to advance my career through various companies, eventually securing a job in it at a different school district. I've come full circle. There were a lot of them. One rolled his truck while standing through the skylight and steering with his foot, grinding everything over his hips, and 2 paced between the truck's roof and the pavement. I drove past about 100 feet of paste on my way to work and found out it was him when I got there. Another blew a stop sign on a motorcycle and landed dead 100 feet away. Another just got sentenced to life in federal prison for running an online child pornography ring. Another one graduated law school, moved to the state capital, and makes damned good money. Still a loser, though. I was pretty much a loser at school, only had a couple friends, terrible grades, pretty much spent my time ducking around and gaming whilst being socially awkward. For all intents and purposes, that guy is dead now, moved country to where no one knew me, changed my whole personality, got into uni as a mature student, hit the gym, started taking care in my appearance, made a load of friends and have a great girlfriend. Even if I accidentally ran into anyone from back then, I doubt they would even recognize me anymore. I'm still firmly an underachiever who's now a courier for a cannabis company and has put on 50-60 pounds since joining said company in April. 28-year with absolutely no path to follow or forge. I'm a one-trick pony. I can gain significant weight and lose it fairly quickly. I'm decent at endurance sports, running, cycling, but my brain chemicals duck me eventually and we have to start the cycle all over again. Mom's basement. Loner. Typical Redditor I know, but sometimes the tiny voice in the back of my mind tells me we are absolutely better and meant for better, but I can never seem to figure it out. Oops, TMI, whatever. I'm in the mental gutter. That's where I'm at. Shit was so much different just 90 days ago, lol. Same place he was when we graduated, living with his parents, having his mom take care of nearly everything. He was the younger of 2 kids, and when his older sibling died his mom never really dealt with the loss in a healthy way and became way overprotective of her baby. I remember at age 12 he briefly joined my soccer club and trained with us for a few weeks. Just when it looked like he might be coming out of his shell a bit, he got a minor injury and his mom immediately pulled him from the team because she didn't want him playing such a violent and dangerous sport. And I'll repeat, this was a soccer team. Now he's in his mid-30s, working a go-nowhere job, but basically incapable of functioning as an adult. He can't cook because his mom prepares all his meals. He doesn't know how to do laundry or clean anything because his mom does all that. If he needs an appointment for the dentist or the barber, his mom books it for him. He even still lives in the same bedroom he grew up in as a kid. The one that most would consider a loser is probably me. I was a loner, listened to metal, played video games, you get the picture. Now I'm a doctor, have an awesome wife, just bought our new apartment and life's going pretty well actually. The one that I myself considered our loser was the guy that bullied me. He was very self-conscious, which he masked by putting others down. Nowadays he has a pretty nondescript position in his father's company after he was let go in the company of a friend of his father's. The only thing I would change is to go back and tell my younger self that your social status in school doesn't matter. I'm a retired combat veteran, working on my masters, and working in a successful job. Those winners back home that were scoring with the hot girls because they played football. They are either 150 pounds heavier, have ED by the time they turned 35, discovered none of their kids are actually theirs or even full siblings, divorced a few times, found Jesus, settled with the ugly duckling who is now beautiful. Even after she was a practice girl with all his buddies in school and the majority of the bad boys. I was the fat girl in high school. I now look better at 44 than 95% of the women I went to school with. I guess it's vindication in a way. I wasn't really a loser, but I sure as hell was invisible and insignificant. Dead. We had a kid in my school that was off. His mother drank heavily and used hard drugs while pregnant with him, and he was neglected. From first grade on, he was always in trouble and was a frequent flyer with the juvenile justice system. He was also slow. His IQ was likely the same as room temperature. He ended up in the state penitentiary for murder, where he became the state leader for one of the Aryan Brotherhood factions. He ended in the federal prison system and died at the federal prison hospital after being raped. She lives in a no-name town in Virginia, been arrested more times than most have fingers and toes. She lost main custody of her kid. Father is from VA, so rich daddy moved her closer to the kid. The heartbreaking thing is she has a master's in international business. She's very intelligent, but she's a raving alcoholic. I'm convinced she has an untreated mental illness. She was recently arrested for possession and/or intent to sell in VA. She can't help herself. Daddy always bails her out, takes care of all the legal. After many years of trying to help her, we are no longer close friends, but I still feel for her and always hope she gets on a better path. I found out last month that he is in jail and has transitioned to being a girl. He is now she. I am unclear on how far along the transition was, but there is photographic evidence of her living as a woman, and Facebook is clear and open about the hormone therapy she was on, which I'm sure has been cut off. But they put her in a men's jail in South Carolina, I think. That can't be a good time. We grew up in California. I can only imagine his life story after high school, but in high school he was a loser because he dressed like a slob and often smelled, had no friends, did poorly in class and couldn't do a single push-up in PE. As far as I know, the regular bullies at school didn't even bother with him. Everybody basically just kept their distance.